Hey everybody, it's Eric Schwartzman in Santa Monica, California, with my guest today, Jessica Bohm from SimilarWeb, coming at us from
Tel Aviv, Israel.
Tel Aviv, Israel. You know, some of you don't know this. I actually lived there when I was a kid. I went to, no, it wasn't kibbutz. I went to a agricultural high school for a year. Yeah, I milked cows at 4
Very
a.m.
interesting.
for a year. It was a trip. I learned a lot. Welcome to PR Tech Wednesdays, where thought leaders just talk about the latest in PR tech. If it's Wednesday, it's PR Tech Wednesdays. We're here every Wednesday from 12 to 1. I'm your host, Eric Schwartzman. We do this Wednesdays from 12 to 1 Pacific time. It's free, and you can sign up at prtechwednesdays.com. Our guest today is Jessica Bohm. She's the Director of Market Intelligence at SimilarWeb, which is a really
Thank you
cool
for having
company.
me.
Yeah, no, I first heard, mentioned to you, I first heard about you guys at Le Web, which was a conference that Louis Lemure used to hold once a year in Paris. And your early investor,
Yossi
Yossi
Vardi.
Vardi, who's like a well-known VC in Israel, was talking about SimilarWeb. It was actually the same year, I think, that Waze presented, and both you guys and Waze both won the VC panel, which was cool. And now here you are today. You guys have grown. How big are you now?
Yeah. We're around 550 employees. Now we've grown. Yeah, the company was founded probably around 8-ish years ago. I've been at the company for the last 5 years. And we're headquartered here in Tel Aviv, actually, but we now have quite large offices in New York and San Francisco and London, Japan, around the world.
So I have to say, this episode of the PR Tech Wednesdays is brought to you by the 2020 Media Monitoring Buyer's Guide, the most comprehensive, up-to-date analysis of media monitoring today. This is a vendor-neutral guide with all sorts of useful information about how to choose the right social and traditional media monitoring platform. And you can download that at ericschwartzman.com/monitoring. Our Bookstagram of the week is Winners Take All by, let me see if I can get this right, Anand Girid Haridadas. Now, he's a former New York Times correspondent who's also written for the New Yorker and the Atlantic, and he started at McKinsey. And it's interesting, it's an apolitical book that basically says the global elite, is out there saying that they want to change the world, but in fact, they're trying to preserve the status quo and obscure their role in causing problems that they later seek to solve. He's basically saying, the corporations of the world are going off and cutting off your arm and handing you a Band-Aid through some social responsibility program. So I would not call this a advertiser-friendly book at all. Not really a commercially viable message, but fascinating. He's a very good writer. It's a quick read, and I would recommend it. I mean, his basic argument is that, before you look at the value of cause-related marketing programs, you need to first look at how the organization contributes to the problem that they're talking about solving. So check it out. One thing I want to mention about this book, I was on the phone with a client yesterday, and we were talking about global supply chains. This virus is just starting to break out in India now. It's just starting to break out in South America. It's really hasn't broken out yet in sub-Saharan Africa. But, we're in this environment now where everyone's got these just-in-time global supply chains. And many of the products that are required to assemble and ship a product come from these regions. And what my client said, who has had several successful exits from tech companies and does very well, I have a lot of respect for him. He's one of the smartest guys I know. He said, in the past, when we were building a global supply chain, we selected vendors based on cost rather than resiliency. And his guess was that whole supply chain is going to reshuffle now as a result, not necessarily of cost, but who can ship. So saving money because you're going somewhere where people can't wash their hands to get something manufactured is no longer going to be as desirable. And looking for a partner in an environment with infrastructure is going to be more important. So anyways, I thought that was interesting, but I digress. Let's get started on the main subject here. Welcome to everyone and to all our viewers around the world. The chat room is open for your questions, so please ask away. Jessica, I want to get started with a discussion about your coronavirus data and insights hub, which is this new website you guys launched to help people see how the pandemic is impacting or could impact their business. So tell us about this microsite.
Yeah, sure. So we launched it a few days ago. It's live on our website. Anyone can check it out. It's similarweb.com/corona. And basically it's a daily update on some of the key metrics, or the key traffic insights around different industries that have been affected by corona. So looking at travel, but looking at some subcategories within travel, whether that's hotels or air travel or car rentals, and then different categories, e-commerce and stuff. We've just put some of the key trends that we've been seeing from the last month, but on a daily basis, and that's refreshed each day. And it basically gives, our users or anyone that wants to visit the site kind of quick insights into some of those key industries being affected.
So let's just back it up for a minute, because most of the people on this line are earned media professionals, but obviously, the value of consumer intelligence is a great way to gauge your message. So talk to us a little bit about what SimilarWeb is, what it does, and how it can provide value to someone in earned media who's responsible for media relations, corporate communications, crisis communications, employee communications.
Sure. So SimilarWeb is a market intelligence company. We basically provide digital insights on any website or app in the world. So for any website, you can see how much traffic is going to that website, and daily, weekly, monthly, and historical data for the past few years as well. You can see the engagement metrics for that website, so bounce rate, and visit duration, and page views. And then you can keep getting more granular. So you can see what are the different traffic channels driving traffic to the website, whether that's through organic search or paid search, or people coming directly to the website, or display or affiliate marketing. And again, we can keep getting more granular, and you can drill down into any one of those channels. So for example, organic search, if you want to drill down, you can see the exact keywords driving traffic. And one of the main values of SimilarWeb is being able to, most companies have this kind of data on their own website. They're probably using Google Analytics or their own analytics. The main value of SimilarWeb is that you can get visibility into your competitors or partners' websites, and you can benchmark yourself as well to see exactly where you're winning, where you're losing versus your competitors or versus the wider industry.
So when you say benchmarks and when you say search volume, you're talking about like the number of times someone searches or the number of times people search a phrase? That's what you mean by that?
Exactly, but we're more focused on the actual traffic. So yes, we can show you, for example, the search volume, but I think Google can also provide the search volume of a keyword. So how many people are searching for a hand sanitizer? But what we show you is the actual traffic being driven to different sites from those searches. So, X number of people search for hand sanitizer, and then that traffic goes to Amazon, goes to some of the local grocery stores, goes to informational websites, and we can show you exactly the traffic trends there.
Talk to us a little bit about your data, because I know you say you guys say you have partnerships in place to get data, and then you get public data, but then you sort of compare that against this anonymous behavioral panel of data to try to train your platform to understand the data that you get from the partnerships and the public. Explain that to me, because I don't really understand how it works.
Yeah, I'll try and simplify. But one of our sort of, unique values, I think, is about the way we collect our data and the fact that we actually have hundreds of different data sources. So we're not reliant on one specific data source. And really that multi-dimensional data collection approach that allows us to provide the insights that we do. So you mentioned, the key ones there. We have a huge panel that we call it. So it's actually, hundreds of millions of consumer devices, whether that's laptops, desktop computers, mobile phones, where we're able to see the anonymously, but the click stream behavior on those devices. So, which websites are being visited, and the and that consumer journey for that sample of devices, but be it a large sample. And we combine that with, like we said, with public data sources. So similar to the way that Google crawls the web and indexes every website, we do something similar to be able to categorize. We categorize every website in the world. So it means we're able to provide insights on a category level, like analyzing the travel category. And then like one of the other key components is that hundreds of thousands of websites or companies have actually connected their Google Analytics data to SimilarWeb. So we're able to use that, more direct measurement data to calibrate our algorithms and see, from our sample and with our algorithm, maybe we're slightly overestimating in a country or underestimating, and we use that direct measurement data to adjust our algorithm to get to the highest level of accuracy.
So then by comparing these two data sets, you're able to sort of find meaning by the overlap between the two?
So we use it all to, at the end of the day, SimilarWeb provides estimations on website traffic and on all the other metrics I described. It's estimations. It's never going to match exactly your own analytics platform that's looking at your own website. But we try to get our estimations as accurate as possible. And we only really publish data in countries where we have a big enough panel or a big enough learning set from our direct measurement, and we feel comfortable with the level of accuracy. But exactly, it's that combination. Just having a panel alone, wouldn't be enough probably, and just having some direct measurement data wouldn't be enough. And it's really that combination of data sources that gets us to where we are today.
And then how can you use this information to figure out something like purchase intent?
So what we're able to see, like I described before, is we actually we're able to see from our panel the clickstream data, the different movements between different URLs for a huge sample. So it means we can actually see, follow that journey of what are consumers searching for. So we can see exactly what they're searching for, and we're also at the moment working on a new feature actually where we're categorizing that intent. So whatever your search is that an informational search, like you're looking for information, or is it a transactional search, you're looking to buy something now? And then we have data right down the funnel, so we can actually, for big websites, we can't do it for small websites, but for big websites like Amazon and smaller websites than Amazon, we can see the conversion data. So not only how many visitors arrive to the site, how many are actually purchasing products at the end of that buyer journey.
And then what sorts of events, like maybe traffic to cancellation pages or conversions, can you monitor over time and try to come up with some business intelligence?
So all of that above, you can analyze any website. We can take a website and we can look exactly at how much traffic they've been getting over time on a daily basis, how much traffic goes to different pages of that website, and then, like I said, and also engagement metrics and how much traffic actually converts at the end. So we can see the full funnel and the drop-off rates along the funnel, and to see how many people actually purchase or complete the conversion funnel.
And then is your analysis for the most part limited to web usage data, or are you also introducing third-party data sets to benchmark? Like, I noticed in a recent webinar that you sent me a video of, which I'll post a link to because it was phenomenal. The data surrounding searches for coronavirus and COVID-19 related terms was put on a graph with a number of different spikes, and each spike was marked with a news event. Where did the news event come from? Is that in the system, or did you manually find that and bring it in for the purpose of the presentation?
Right. So yeah, that's not directly sort of sitting in the system today. What we often do is we have, like the lady that presented the webinar, she's one of our industry analysts, and they so what we often do is and the process we tell our users to do in SimilarWeb is, if you do see a spike on SimilarWeb, or it indicates that something happened, a company ran a campaign, or there was some news event in the world, and then it's a matter of sometimes Googling to see what happened on that day, and on Google you can filter down to a specific day as well to see what was going on that day. We have actually just brought in so one of SimilarWeb's core audience is marketing professionals. So there's a full range of marketing professionals: SEO, PPC, affiliate, PR managers, VP marketing, etc. But another set of audiences we sell to is sales teams who use us more for lead generation, lead qualification, and also investors who use this data to look at.
I could see how, from an investment standpoint, you can see where companies are headed before they head there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so actually, the investors use case is really interesting, and it's not, the company wasn't sort of founded with investors in mind, but after we have had all of this data, investors started to, take interest. And for the private investors like VCs and private equity, they don't have any information on the companies they want to invest in at the beginning. So whatever SimilarWeb can provide is amazing sort of insight for them. And for public investors who invest in public companies, there is a lot of public information out there, but often it comes at a lag, and you have to wait for the quarterly report. And also, the types of metrics that SimilarWeb is able to provide is an additional alpha, an additional set of data points to support the openly available public data.
I just posted a link to the webinar that I was referencing earlier. If anybody wants to watch it, I would recommend watching it. It's gripping to see just how much information you can get if you put the right metrics in the right order to sort of follow the customer journey. And that's kind of the lens that you present your findings through, right?
Exactly. So I would recommend. So we did this webinar a few days ago. It was focused on the US. So I assume a lot of the audience today is from the US, and it was focused on those insights. And in about 5 days, we're doing another similar webinar, all focused on insights around the impact of Corona on different industries. The one in 5 days is going to be focused more on Europe. So we'll be looking at the UK, France, Germany, and maybe some other markets as well. But we're able to, we've done a lot. In that we've been busy in the last month, because we have the luxury of, having all of this data and these insights, which normally we use to, help which we're still using, but to help companies with their marketing strategies and optimize their marketing and a whole range of use cases. But in this time of Corona, it's been like amazing insights that people really want to see on how different industries have been affected, and also we have daily data. So, and things are changing every day at the moment. So you can really see exactly when things are changing in different countries, when the impact is hitting different sectors. Some sectors are bouncing back. Some sectors have benefited from what's been going on. For example, we're live on Zoom. Zoom is one of the companies that I think has grown significantly in this period. We can provide.
I was on the phone with a client who is a CFO, and what he was saying is he thinks this is the end of the office as we know it. He said he thinks all the CFOs are looking at their numbers, and they're looking at the fact that, a lot of people were working from home already anyways, and now everyone's forced to work at home. He says, CFOs are going to look to cut bait on their real estate commitments, and we're all going to be working from home after this forever. That's what he thinks.
Yeah, no, I'm tend to agree. And actually, like I've worked in the past, I used to work at Deloitte, and Deloitte having certain departments for the consultants, for example, who are often on the road. You know, they have much smaller offices because half the time people are out of office, and you can hot desk when you're in the office. And I'm sure a lot of companies will move to where if you do have 1,000 employees, perhaps you only need office space for 500, and you know, and people will rotate periods of working at home and days working at home.
So, you know, we've all been flooded in
I'm
these
sure that will happen.
we've all been flooded in these coronavirus update emails from companies we do business with. And it's almost at the point now where we just kind of roll our eyes like, oh no, not enough. Do I really need one from, you know, my plumber about coronavirus at this point? But the truth is there's value to having that page, right? And that was one of the things that I saw, you know, and in the webinar that I just shared, and the data showed that, you know, Southwest Airlines, Hotels.com, and Priceline didn't publish Corona-specific pages on their websites until early March. Was that a mistake? And do you think it'll hurt their reputation in the long run, or will people just forget?
It's a good question. I mean, yeah, I'm sure everyone has their own opinions on these things. I think in the short term, like you say, anyone that, you know, what were people searching for? What did people want to know immediately? And even now, basically, it's only everything corona related, and you know, this webinar as well. You know, it's very hard to talk about topics that are not corona related at the moment. So I'm sure for those airlines, like the ones that got out there quickest, I'm sure they saw like a gain from that. But I don't know how long the brand you know, I'm not sure in the airline industry actually what brand loyalty looks like. It's something we could investigate on SimilarWeb, but perhaps after some of this dies down, people will go back to their you know, airlines of choice.
In the old days, they used to say, any press is good press. Is any traffic good traffic?
Excellent question. We've actually been having a lot of discussions about it at SimilarWeb, where, you know, we don't want to, first of all, we don't want to, you know, capitalize so much on this situation, which is, we don't want to be seen that, you know, we're not putting out these insights because we want to suddenly, like, you know, win business at this time where everyone's, like, most people in the world are suffering. But I think that what do people want to hear from companies at the moment is they want to receive information. They want to they want to feel empathy from some companies, etc. So I do think that it's important for companies to share corona-related information. I think just information sharing at this time is really critical. So I think most of the press has been, like, for the corona-related pages, has been sort of relevant and positive.
When you look at data from mobile apps, what sort of conclusions can you draw from the usage of that data versus website usage data?
So what we see, so with SimilarWeb, you can analyze desktop data, mobile web data, and mobile app data. What we see is often at the moment on SimilarWeb at the moment, the way you analyze is you can analyze each platform separately. We're working towards a place where we can kind of see that in one view. But what we often see is, you know, you may see a company's web traffic decline, and it looks like maybe that company is having problems or something, but actually it's because that traffic is just moving over to their app, and you may see their app downloads increasing. So I think, you know, web traffic is still very strong and big, and it depends on the industry, but for sure for some of the, you know, things like food delivery, some of the industries that we're seeing that have grown recently, takeaways, etc., on these online apps, you know, that's mainly app based, we see.
As a result of the pandemic, have there been any trends in the direction, I mean, outside of, you know, specific apps designed to provide services that help people who are at home, are there any general trends that you've seen with respect to mobile app usage versus web usage? I mean, is one more popular than the other in a pandemic when people need immediate information?
It's an excellent question. I wouldn't like to, I don't know the answer, and it's something, again, we could analyze. I don't have an answer sort of to hand. My personal assumption would be that actually, since most people are staying at home these days, I'm going to imagine that desktop usage or laptop usage has gone up more than usual when people are on the go the whole time. From my own experience anyway, I'm sitting at my computer all day long. Whereas, in normal life, I'm commuting to work, I'm traveling, I'm going out in the evenings, and I would expect mobile app usage overall perhaps to have gone down, but that's just my prediction.
So in the study that was on this webinar that I shared the link to, there's also was a graph around the cruise ship industry. When you create a set of keywords to monitor an industry, how do you do that?
So SimilarWeb has, we've got one tool, we've got a few different tools, but we've got one tool that's called our keyword generator tool. You can basically input a seed keyword, so cruise ship, if that's the topic you're investigating, and the engine will produce, it depends on many, but it can produce up to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of both phrase match keywords, so other phrases that contain the word cruise or cruise ship, or related keywords. So it may not actually contain the word cruise, it may just be ship or boat or holiday at sea, something like that. So we've got this engine where you can then basically select the relevant keywords that have been recommended and build a keyword group around any topic. And then you have the ability to take that topic, like cruise ships, with all the related keywords, and see a whole bunch of insights around that keyword group. So how much traffic is that keyword group driving to websites in general? Which websites is it sending traffic to? And what's the battleground between different websites receiving traffic from those different keywords.
But there is still some subjective determination that must be made by the analyst to decide which of these keywords to include. So you get the keywords and then you decide which ones to include. How do you validate the accuracy? In so many of these tools, early days, we'd put in these Boolean operators and we'd get all this garbage, and then we'd have to manually go in and put negative operators in. And, the challenge was always, if you choke it down too much, you're going to miss some good stuff. But if you leave it too open, you're going to get all this off-topic stuff, and you're going to have to separate the wheat from the chaff manually. So as you're going through the process to refine the keywords and get it right, how do you use human intelligence to make sure the information is accurate?
Yeah. So first of all, in general, we have an amazing team and a large team of data scientists at SimilarWeb who are creating all sorts of amazing algorithms for us. And that's why we talked earlier about how we collect the data. One element, us being able to provide the insights is collecting this data, but it's really about the algorithms that we apply to it. And we're always learning, and iterating and trying to improve those algorithms. And then, like you said, there is an element where, the users that use SimilarWeb, as much as we try to make the insights simple and visual and easy to digest, many of our users are analysts, researchers, or consumer insights professionals that are used to working with data. And so they also have the flexibility. They can build their own keyword groups. They need to choose. They know their industry best, and they need to use an element of their own expertise to sometimes figure out what's the right analysis to be performing.
If you wanted to see the impact of traditional news and social media conversations on economic measures, what exactly would you compare?
Ooh, tricky question. Could you clarify a little bit more?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about that graph you guys did about visits to cruise-related companies based on news spikes. Mm-hmm. Could you do the same thing based on conversions?
Right. So first of all, yes, we have the conversion data, like I said. So you could actually look at not only how much traffic to cruise websites has changed, but actually what those different conversions look like. And often we see very different patterns. You know, one company's traffic increased massively, but actually their conversion rate hasn't changed, and another company who's had stable traffic but has really optimized their conversion funnel, and they've been benefiting. So yeah, we can see that full funnel.
I mean, my thought is, in that type of a scenario, if you could get a handle on sentiment around discussions, you know, what might that say about conversions? Like, could you map a relationship between consumer sentiment and buying patterns?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. It's not something today. SimilarWeb is not so, like, we don't yet have such capabilities around sentiment analysis. We're fully aware of, you know, other companies in the field that offer this kind of thing. So it's a potential collaboration with some of these other companies where.
But the platform, does the platform allow you to import third-party data?
No, it doesn't allow you to import today. But what we do have is, first of all, you can export all our data to Excel, and also we have APIs for every metric across the platform. You can pull out our data. Many of our customers, especially agencies, are pulling our data out of SimilarWeb into their own dashboards, where they're often combining us with other data sets, some of their internal data or other third-party data sets.
Well, let's do a hypothetical for a second, because, you know, when I go to the data insights hub for coronavirus, obviously, you know, you've got hoteliers, you've got airlines, you've got automotive, car rental companies, and a number of other industries there. But what if my industry isn't there? And let's take an example. Let's say virtual reality. Actually, let's go even more narrow than that, and let's say location-based virtual reality. So these are virtual reality attractions in shopping malls, at theaters, that type of thing. That's a niche industry. I have a client in that space. So if somebody like that wanted to use a platform like yours to get a sense of what's happening in that space, could they?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, like I said, we can provide insights on any website or app or industry in the world. So what we're putting on that mini site so far is that's really only 0.001% of the types of things we can provide. And first of all, I encourage anyone listening, if you do want insights, first of all, we have a free website that's available. So check us out and you can do some of your own analysis. And if you do want deeper insights, we'd be happy to see if we can provide that. But we can basically, any keyword, any industry, any website, we can, as long as it's, like I said, if it's something very niche, if it's a very tiny website, if it's a very, it's sometimes harder for us because we're sample based. Same with conversion data. We're only able to really do the conversion level stuff on larger websites.
Got it. And how large? Because, like even on Google Trends, you can only see large, sets of keywords that have large volume. And then, of course, you gotta step up to Ahrefs or SEMrush or one of these paid platforms to get the niche terms. But I'm trying to get just an understanding for myself and for our listeners. If I'm in a niche B2B, industry, and I want to get a better understanding of, how customers feel about me and my competitors in my industry at large, can I use SimilarWeb to do that? Or is it really just for big companies?
It's definitely not for big companies. I mean, definitely not only for big companies. We really serve the full range, and many first of all, many individual freelancers and things are using our free website, and then we have scaling premium plans, and it scales really with the kind of depth and breadth of the insights you want. So for example, we have worldwide level data on any website or industry. You can also drill down into a specific country, and we can do that for 58 different countries. So for our clients, if they're US based and if they only operate in the US, they just need a US package. It's much smaller. But if a company is really global and looking to use our insights at a global level and drill into all their different markets, and that's kind of how it scales.
What about
But yeah, I think
wine?
there's
What about the category of wine? How would a winemaker, a wine producer, use SimilarWeb to get a sense of whether or not coronavirus is going to impact future demand? What would they look at,
first,
hypothetically?
yeah, first of all, what they can do is analyze their direct competitors and benchmark themselves against their competitors. So if they, I don't know if a wine company is getting traffic directly to its site, or it might be selling through third-party retailers. So on
Well,
SimilarWeb,
the funny thing about wine, right, is because it is an organic product, you've got so many companies, thousands of companies. No one of import owns the category, but it's a big
yeah.
business. So how would you
So
get your arms around that?
so like I said, if you're getting SimilarWeb, mainly analyzes web traffic. So if you are selling wine directly from your own website, you can benchmark yourselves against other wine sellers. You can see you may have been growing recently, you may have been declining recently, but perhaps when you benchmark against your competitors, you'll see that even if your traffic has been declining, your competitors may have been declining at double the pace. So actually, you've been gaining market share in a way. So really, I would say, there's value to every company that has some online, we're digital, so online presence. There's huge value in that benchmarking different metrics. So whether that's the website traffic, also benchmarking things like your bounce rate. Are people staying on your site? And if you are a wine company, you probably want to have informative content. Are people viewing that content, or are they coming to your site and then just jumping off? And yeah, that would be and then the last thing is just, if you're a consumer goods company and you're selling your goods through retailers. So lots of companies don't sell if you're a producer of shampoo or consumer sort of fast moving consumer goods, your sales on a retailer. So then the use of SimilarWeb is to really monitor and analyze those retailers, to find new retailers to work with, to monitor the performance of the ones you're working with today, to see how they're driving traffic to their website, and perhaps you can consult your retailers on how to optimize that, as it's going to help you and as well.
Would you be able to look at how they're driving traffic to your product page on their website, or would you just be able to look to their top level domain?
Excellent question. That's quite granular. And the more we do have granulation, but it's harder for us sometimes the more granular you get. For big retailers, we absolutely can get down to even sometimes just category level, or sometimes even product level. But obviously for smaller retailers, we don't have enough visibility from our panel and from our learning set into that.
So I know one of the things you monitor is paid search. How is that useful from a business intelligence standpoint?
Where to begin? I think again, it's the combination of, first of all, if you're a company and you're investing in paid search, it's seeing what your competitors are investing in paid search. So perhaps it's discovering keywords or topics that actually they're getting traffic for that you haven't been, and so it's really researching and discovering new areas. Again, it's that benchmarking.
Just to interject for a second, you're able to not just look at the total spend, but you're able to break that spend down by keyword.
Oh yeah, we can actually see for every single keyword, we can see that battleground between a competitive set. So perhaps for the keyword wine, on some retailing website, you'd be able to see for the keyword wine, you'd be able to see exactly, which retailers are getting traffic. Maybe you're getting 20% of that traffic. Your competitor might be getting 30% of that traffic. And then there may be niche players getting 5%.
That's very interesting, because if you made something like Pinot Noir, you could, if you went by the type of wine, you could start to break it down there. And then you could see, I guess, who has the most volume for that term. And that could give you some intel about who you want as a distributor.
Exactly. And so I think, there's huge amounts of insight. You can discover new keywords which you weren't getting traffic for. Like I said, you can also see what keywords where you were winning, and then it also helps with your messaging, and you know that this is your strength, that you're getting the majority of traffic, certain keywords, and you should double down on them perhaps. There may be keywords where you feel, when you look at your own analytics, you feel that you're getting a lot of traffic from them and you might feel positive, but actually when you look at that benchmarking situation, you realize that your competitors been getting more traffic than you. So yeah, and also in paid search, sorry, just to add, we also have insights, the creative, so the actual text ads, and also for display, you can actually see which ads your competitors are pushing and promoting, and which keywords are driving traffic to the different ads.
So, as a former SaaS founder, I was always focused on enterprise, mid-sized companies, because you want to sell as many site licenses as you can. It's about seats on the platform. But if you shift it over from the client's perspective and you look at the number of clients that are out there, there aren't that many enterprise customers. And there are a lot of large customers but really the most are small and medium-sized customers. And if you look at most of the clients out there, most of them are small business. We'll see if that's still the case after this pandemic. Hopefully it will be. Yeah. But you mentioned that you've got a free service and a premium service. Talk us through that. How could someone who's working with a smaller client get familiar with your product and see whether or not they want to upgrade to premium?
Yeah, so we've SimilarWeb from the day it was created, I guess, 8 to 10 years ago, started off with its sort of free offering, and then over time we've added more and more capabilities, more and more data sets, and we're only able to provide more and more complex insights. But we still always maintain this free website. Obviously, it's amazing. Any customers or many users of SimilarWeb know us for the free website. They're very satisfied with what they get there. But if you want to, we're strong believers. If you want to do deeper analysis, like I said, if you want to look into specific countries, if you really want to get that long tail of often websites have hundreds of thousands of keywords driving traffic to them. So if you really want to see that long tail of data, you need to sort of upgrade to our more premium packages.
Excuse me.
Bless you. So really what we try to do is consult. We have a huge sales force, and we try and consult with the customers that come our way, and really to understand what are their needs. If they're looking again to analyze specific marketing channels only, or if they're looking specific geos only, or specific industries, if we understand their needs, we're able to find what's the right offering for them.
Remind me to tell you at another time my long tail story.
Okay. We'll
table that for now. So if you're looking at a category like online retail, right? And you see that someone like Amazon is not advertising anymore because they've hit capacity as a result of the pandemic and they can't fulfill additional orders anyways. What is that an opportunity for their competitors?
I think on the one hand, I think it's a huge opportunity for their competitors. It's not often that Amazon reduces its budgets, and it's not often that market opens up. But on the other hand, lots of Amazon competitors are suffering at the moment. And so now isn't the time that most of them were probably planning to up their budgets. Probably many of them are also looking to reduce their budget. So I think, again, for speaking from personal experience, for example, since I've been working from home and staying at home a lot, I bought myself an exercise bike recently, and I'm sure categories
Peloton?
Like
is it a Peloton?
I didn't go for a Peloton actually. I went for something a bit more basic. Oh, I don't even know what brand it is.
Because I'm on the market, because I used to go to the gym every day and ride a stationary bike. I'm walking the dog now. I got to get some exercise.
Exactly. So no, I'm really not leaving the house much at the moment and can't not move. So bought myself an exercise bike, and then I heard about 3 other people tell me they bought exercise bikes. So I'm sure certain categories like home sports equipment, they're the types of industries that actually are growing at the moment, and so they may be taking this opportunity to double down on some of their paid strategies.
Interesting. there always is a silver lining. So when you look at your data, what is doing well that, would be surprising to us? Where are the bright spots?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's surprising or not. I think it sometimes seems it's some of what we show is often obvious, but it's good to see it in the data. It kind of backs that up. So we've done a ton of analyses recently where we've basically seen that most industries are just declining, except for the key ones that are growing are grocery delivery and food delivery. So I don't know what the apps are actually in the US for the food delivery. Every country sort of has its own
Instacart. Instacart is the big one out here. Yeah.
Right. So those, and I'm sure everyone basically can recognize, like, I've been doing online grocery orders. I've been ordering takeaways online and stuff. When you can't leave your house, you rely on those services. So those have been growing. Like I said, like home sports equipment and those kind of categories have been growing. And then what we also have seen is the companies are just shifting their product lines or something. So, we all know that hand sanitizer and face masks have been in such high demand. So companies that, it's not something they would have promoted before, or it's maybe not something they even sold before. Like, we've really seen those shifts in the types of products that they are promoting and pushing. And but I don't know everything off the top of my head, and I would encourage you all to look at, go to our mini site. There's a lot of other content there as well that's linked at the bottom. We're doing webinars and white papers, and all on different sectors as well. So can deep dive.
Two interesting things I noticed on that webinar. One was that travel companies were still doing some business around drivable destinations, and in particular, Hamptons, properties in the Hamptons and properties in Lake Tahoe were getting some action, at least before the lockdown.
Yeah, so actually we saw a lot of interesting trends in the travel industry. It shifted daily. So actually right after the coronavirus sort of news was really ramping up, what we saw was actually a huge increase in traffic to travel, to airline websites and hotels. But then what we noticed was actually it was going to the cancellation pages, or people looking to cancel. But it really drove a huge influx. And then since then, it's obviously decreased. But yeah, like you said, I've heard also from friends, and a lot of New Yorkers are looking to get out of New York and go to the Hamptons, and we see some very unique and interesting trends emerging there. And also in some travel sites, there has been some increase to people still booking travel, but much late for 6 months time, or looking.
I want to know how far out they're booking. Like, are they booking for holiday season at this point? Like I said to my wife, we should book Italy. You kidding me? Now's the time. She was like, no, I don't want to go to Italy right now. I'm like, not right now. We'll go at the end of the year. We love going at the end of the year. Yeah. The other thing I thought was kind of interesting is that keyword freezer was spiking as people, buy more food and load down their supplies so they can hunker down and get through this.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just another example. And I'm sure, again, it's not surprising to people, but it's nice, or it's helpful when you see that in the data. And they're the types of things that we're able to do because we have that daily level of data. We can see what keywords have been trending, in the last few days, in the last week. And we've done a lot of, actually on SimilarWeb, generally you can look back at a long historical period. You can look at the last 3 years of data, or the last year of data, or the last few months. But what we've really seen in this period, we do have a filter where you can look at just the last 28 days of activity and what's been going on daily. And we've really seen that that's been the most valuable part of our product for all of this analysis, because everything's just changing on a daily basis, and there's no use looking at 3 months ago or even 1 month ago. Actually, it's all about staying on top of those daily trends. And it's another reason we created that mini site, which, like I said, is being refreshed daily, because people want to know day to day exactly what's changing.
You know, in the past, if you wanted this type of intel, you needed to go to a market research company that had a panel, and they would rely exclusively on the panel, but you know, it took time. And so I guess this is a way to just in a keystroke get it. Now, when it comes to using the platform, how dependent is the client on a dedicated analyst or a customer success person at SimilarWeb to get what they need? I mean, are they self-sufficient? Is there a dedicated analyst? How does that work?
So generally the platform is totally self-service. It's a SaaS platform. So, you know, you subscribe to the platform and then you have access to do all your own analyses. And we are, you know, we always try, and we're continuing to optimize as well to make sure that it's as self-sufficient as possible. You can build your own dashboards in like 2 clicks because we've built templates with all the key metrics that you'll want to see. And then there's capabilities that if you are a sophisticated analyst, you can use our API, you can be exporting to Excel and pivoting tables, and you know, you can probably get to a deeper level of insight if you're able to manipulate that data yourself. But on the platform itself, you don't need to be an analyst. We get a lot of compliments and good feedback on our UI UX. So thanks to our designers at SimilarWeb, but we really try to make it as user-friendly and intuitive as possible, and pop out those insights so that you shouldn't have to do too much digging deep to find the interesting stuff. But just to also answer your question, we do have some in-house analysts for those customers. That some customers, you know, they would rather that, you know, we come, you know, that we provide some level of consulting service, that we do the analysis on their company or on their competitive set and provide that. But the majority of our business is a self-service.
When you look at how companies take advantage of your product, what surprises you most?
Oh, that is an excellent question. I think what is so unique and what is so amazing is that we have customers from every single country in the world, from every industry in the world, of every size and of every kind of role. So like I said, we've got investors and corp dev teams, and then we've got sales teams and sales operations teams, and then we've got SEO managers and CMOs and PR specialists. And I think it makes it challenging actually for our company. And as someone that has worked in the strategy team and the product marketing team, you know, our audience is so diverse, and they're all using our data in different ways that it makes it challenging to focus on what features do we want to develop.
Who's your ideal customer profile?
And so about a year ago, because the company has grown, we were able to break out into sort of different business units to try and really dive deeper into each of these and serve each of these target audiences in a deeper way. So we have our own product team, product roadmap per target audience, and now we can, you know, develop things that investors are looking for, develop things that marketing professionals are looking for, and develop things that sales teams are looking for as well.
And final question, what are you looking for? If somebody were to hear this and wanted to connect with you, how could they help you?
Me personally, or SimilarWeb as the company?
Well, either. You could take it however you like. But first, you as Director of Intelligence, what type of information could they partner with you on? What are you looking for? And personally, too, if you care to share it.
So I think SimilarWeb, you know, we have a lot of this data. We're able to provide a lot of these insights, but like I said, it's, you know, it's so broad, we can almost provide an insight on anything. So we do love to, you know, collaborate if there are opportunities to collaborate on joint, you know, reports or joint marketing activities or something with experts in a sector. Then, you know, we love to do that. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you if you want to partner, if you think our data could be valuable to you, or you have things that could be valuable to us. And yeah, this was an amazing opportunity for me to get to know you, Eric, and to talk about all these interesting topics. And it came at a time, I'm sure if we did this interview 3 months ago, we would be talking about totally different topics. So it was very current and relevant.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I want to also thank Flux Branding, a world-renowned resource for defining your visual brand. Flux Branding is a group of creative visionaries and graphic designers dedicated to helping clients build brand identities. Visit them at fluxbranding.com. And Digital Dragon, where children can develop the skills they need to prosper in the age of machines. Digital Dragon teaches digital literacy to tomorrow's programmers. More information at digitaldragon.com. And definitely join us next week. We are going to have Cami Watson-Heiza, who's a national leader on the topic of public relations and social media strategy. She's a 20-year veteran of public relations and a well-known early adopter of PR tech. We've been friends for 20 years. She's currently hosting a daily LinkedIn Live on remote workforce management best practices, which is definitely a hot topic. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you can actually join us every Wednesday at prtechwednesdays.com. This has been Eric Schwartzman. We'll see you on the next PR Tech Wednesday.
Thank you, Eric.